Hey guys, it's me, EOD Gamer here. Perhaps you're wondering, is Fei Xiao good enough at E0, S0? Does she actually need her Eidolons? Does she gain a lot of damage with them? Or maybe you are a player who is really liking her a lot, you want to spend a bit more. Should you go for her signature Light Cone first? Or just her S0 cruising the Stellar Sea is good enough? What is the damage gain? Or even, should you go for Eidolon 1 first or go for her signature? All of the damage tests will be talked about in this video. I'll share with you my thoughts as well after each of the tests. You can check the timestamps out for each category that you're interested in. As you can see, we have tons of the different Eidolons here available. We even went all the way up to S5 of her signature. This is of course filmed on the creator server. I could have never afforded this on my own as well. So thank you to Hoyoverse for letting us use the creator server pre-launch. So numbers might change, but most of the time they tend to stay the same as well. These are stats that we have. But let's not waste any time on this channel. Let's dive in. The first thing I want to look at is a E0, S0 comparison. And this is filmed, of course, after the testing has been done. But enjoy. Let's dive into the E0, S0 first. Alright, so we just saw some numbers of the E0, S0. We needed to actually proc the attack bonus here to defeat the enemy. That's why we customized her attack such that she follow up to kill the squishy guys first, so she gets that maximum buff or the cruising the Stellar Sea. We're going to be doing the exact same rotation for everything, but some of you who do not have time to watch the entire clip, the TLDR, do I think that E0, S0 Fei Xiao is good enough? And the answer is yes, because cruising the Stellar Sea exists. For those of you who are wondering, her signature gives her crit rate, which is of course at S1 is much less than S5, but defense ignore is the main thing that differentiates itself from the free-to-play cruising the Stellar Sea. You can pretty much get by with like this 40% attack if you can kill a target, which Fei Xiao kills very often, and save yourself like a premium $150, $200, however much it may be to get the signature. So if you are interested, the TLDR is not enough, you can check out the damage comparison. We will now be doing E1 S0 and E0 S1, so it's S1 first or E1 first, which is more important since cruising the Stellar Sea is so good. Let's get on with the second and third test respectively. So we have actually seen two of the situations, E1 first or going for S1 first. The real damage gain that you get the most is actually going for a signature first over the E1. But one very important thing to note, for those of you who are going for like screenshot damage of like the final strike, it's actually better to go for Skyward 1 Quell because it increases the maximum damage. If you rewind and you see the final strike, it's actually more with E1 first, going with just cruising the Stellar Sea, but that's just a nitty-gritty thing. In general, you actually will benefit more from going for her signature light cone at S1. Of course, this is after all the testing has been done, so I'm just recording a summary of everything, but you will see E6, S5, any of you curious towards the end of the clip as well. But yeah, now let's look at E1, S1, which I think is probably my optimal situation for most people and my recommendation of a nice starting point. Let's take a look at the numbers. If you're just focusing on damage numbers, and of course crit rate above 100% is just for me to do better testing purposes, and I have this at like S5 here, so don't bother about this on screen. But my honest recommendation, and E1, S1 probably will be a good stopping point for a lot of you free-to-play players or savers or like small spenders out there. And if you are too lazy to watch the rest of the video, you don't care about big PP numbers, TLDR, E1, S1 will be my honest recommendation for small spenders. This is the maximum gain, but then again, you do not really need that much damage gain, because if you compare it to like base E0, S0, you probably got only like a 50% damage increase, but don't forget you're spending an equivalent of 2 limited characters because you got E1, S1 and you got the signature, so it's like almost 3 characters and you're increasing your damage by 50%. This, in my opinion, is a lot more friendly for the likes of Acheron, who actually has a lot of her damage gated behind her E2. Fei Xiao actually has a lot of it unlocked at E0, S0, and that is my reason why I think Fei Xiao is a very free-to-play friendly character, unlike Acheron, who's a bit more gated as well. But now, for those of you bigger whales, or you're just interested at this point, you're curious, how much more damage does exactly money actually buy you in this game with Fei Xiao, right? So enjoy the rest of the clip. Let's look at some of the bigger PP numbers as we go along. Okay, I just want to say real quick, even though this is really like a damage test comparison, E2, this video is like not doing E2 justice because we're just comparing final damage. This gives a lot of utility to Fei Xiao because every time like when you have a talents effect, one instance of follow-up, this makes her very, very strong in the follow-up team compositions. And with E2, you actually want to play her in follow-up teammates rather than like fast and often teams, which we talk about on the channel, the different styles of team. E2 changes her playstyle, makes her very restrictive because she only wants to play in follow-up attacking team compositions, but she gains a lot of value coming from it. So it's like an inverse Acheron if you think about it. So before that, E0, S0, very flexible, but E2, S1 or E2 is the main thing that turns her into like Acheron. Instead of path, you only play into follow-up attacking teams, but she gains a lot of value because she charges the attacks very, very quickly as well. So I just want to put out that disclaimer. This is still very strong, even though the damage numbers do not show it in this testing. Just a quick disclaimer. Now that we have seen this video's long-form content comparison of all of the different Eidolons, we see here that E6 is a massive damage increase versus E1, and I want to share with you some of my thoughts. The TLDR is this character is very fine at E0, S0. You do not really need like Eidolons 1, 2, 4, 6, any of the bigger ones. You'd get a massive amounts of damage increase, but out of all of the characters like Acheron and stuff, I think Fei Xiao is very friendly for a free-to-play player who just gets the base copy at E0, S0. But in my opinion, like key ones to focus on, E1, S1 probably is like one of the best in terms of value that you can get. Unfortunately, it's still 3 characters. You have to pull 1 additional copy, and the light cone, if you fail to get like 50-50, is considered like another character equivalent. So 3 characters for the price of 1, kind of still cheaper than Acheron, but you don't get as much gains as Acheron's E2 S1. That's something that is different about Fei Xiao. So she's more free to play friendly than Acheron, but doesn't gain too much with like wailing at E1 S1. E2, this is a great utility one, but it restricts her into team compositions that want to focus on follow-up attacks, which means that she's an inverse Acheron, where Acheron at first plays into Nihility, and then with E2 she can play into more teams. This one, Fei Xiao, is at first she can play into more teams, as we talked about on the channel, and then after that E2 kind of wants to restrict her down into follow-up attacking teams. That is the main difference, but still, tons of value. You want to play her into follow-up attacking teams with E2 specifically because you gain a lot more stacks this way. E4, great for toughness reducing and also a lot of speed. This one is more of like you're getting your way to the massive E6. And here is great because you get rest pen by 20% of out damage that's being dealt. Her follow-up is also counted as out damage, so you might have better gear that you can enhance either follow-up at ultimate. Inert Salsoto, for example, you can benefit it very well, and damage multiplier increased by 140. So E6, very, very strong, but it's not needed. If you're interested to see all the different numbers, you can always just check out the video and the timestamps as indicated to see the different damage numbers and the big PP numbers as well. But last but not least, I have something special for you. Let's try the like one-shot Phantilia or something like that with E6, E6 S5, just for the fun of it. And if you like this video, please do like, comment, subscribe for more such future content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate your support. See you in the next video.